right. It sounds like we are live and just going to double check to make sure.
We are.
Yeah.
Yes,
Awesome.
we are.
Perfect.
Which is running and echoing.
Sorry, that was me. Perfect. Well, welcome in everybody to the wonderful Transpotting podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Samera, and with me is Eve. And we are joined tonight by the wonderful, honorable Corrie DiManno, Banff Mayor of the small town Banff, Alberta. Welcome in, Corrie.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here.
It's wonderful to have you. So, yeah, welcome in. It's awesome to have you join us today. I guess let's just start off with, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing great. It's starting to feel a little bit like spring here in Banff, so was able to feel actual warmth and sunshine on my bare skin, which is always a joy. So, yeah, I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. I didn't get the sunshine. I'm actually kind of jealous for that because, yeah, like the spring part, amazing. But I'm sad to miss. I can't believe I missed the sun.
Well, hopefully it'll come out again tomorrow.
How are you,
Now we
Eve?
break into song.
How are you, Eve?
It has been raining here for 2 solid days. We had 2 feet of snow, so it's just been melting and melting and turning into nothing but fog. My hair hates me right now.
Sounds like very secret history Donna Tartt weather.
Oh, it's been
Secret
the highways
History
have been a
Donna Tartt.
nightmare.
What a
Absolute-
reference.
I just thought I'd come out strong here, you know.
No, I love
she's
it.
cultured. She's well read.
At least one of us is. Not me. No way.
When is it normally spring where you are, Eve?
We'll start seeing spring-like symptoms in late March-ish.
Symptoms.
We tend to get like a false winter that wants to have a resurgence the beginning of April, and then it's just raw and cold for a month and a half. But that'll balance back out. And then come May, everything gets nice again. I hope.
We're almost there. Yeah.
We just blame the groundhog around here.
I love that. We judge how our spring is going to be based on a animal that lives in the ground.
Could you imagine explaining that to the aliens?
Right?
Oh my gosh. Or even like, yeah.
But I mean, realistically, think about it though. Weathermen have a 50-50 shot. Like they have the best job in the world. They can be right or wrong. It's like, oh, well, you never know what's the weather. And here's a groundhog. It's just as accurate. Like,
But they also get
it
the
works.
worst flack.
Yeah, it works.
So, Corrie, you are the mayor of Banff. Absolutely. But let's get to know you. Like, tell us a little bit about yourselves. Yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so who am I when I'm not the mayor? That's a good question. I live here in beautiful Banff, Alberta, so I am definitely always outside as much as I can be. I love hiking and road biking and running when I'm not injured. And normally I'm just that friend that anytime you ask me to go on an adventure, I try and say yes. So I'm spending a lot of time outside. I like hanging out with my friends and family and reading and yeah, just trying to find that work-life balance is definitely important for me for sure.
Prioritize mental health.
What's on the docket for the reading? Just curious.
Oh yeah, I'm mostly fiction and typically female authors. So I know sometimes there's this discourse of, women, do they even write books? I'm like, more like, do men even write books? Like, I don't even read anything by a man. I'm like, well, how did that get in here? So that's kind of usually my genre is character driven, mostly sad girl, but sometimes the sad girl goes on an adventure, that kind of wheelhouse.
Is it a certain abbreviation of book series that by a certain female author that?
Oh, you know what? I haven't got into that yet.
Yet.
But never say never. Yeah.
Keyword.
Yes. Exactly.
No, that's actually one of the series that I'm reading right now, and I am like hooked. It is.
Oh, okay.
She's
All
trying
right.
to force me to read it. She's not having a lot of success though.
And so, what's the sales pitch?
Read it or else, basically.
The sales pitch is it's fantasy. It's absolutely fantastic. It reads from the point of view like very first person, which I find is really unique in the writing sense because the way that it's written, the way that all the information comes to you is all based on what the character knows. So there's no like background world building or anything like that. It's basically, this is how this girl, was raised, and this is kind of how what she knows, and she gets into a fantastical adventure. And I guess okay, I'm just going to say it's smut. It's beautifully written smut.
You caught me there. The jig is up.
The jig is up. But it's not like, I know it sounds weird to say, but it's tastefully written, that it's not like overwhelming. Like not every page is talking about, his big member.
No.
Right. Well, you are not the first person to give me a sales pitch, so maybe one of these days I'll get to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe one of these days. Absolutely. And like, I guess one of the other questions that I had from that is, you talk about going out and getting out and doing biking, hiking, and all that other stuff when you're not injured.
Yes.
What's your favorite hike of the area that if you could recommend to anybody, what would it be?
Oh, well, if you're looking for in town, Tunnel Mountain is my go-to. That's one that you can do from downtown. You don't even have to drive to the trailhead because parking's limited. And you can just get that incredible view of the town and out toward the west, valley. So I'd say Tunnel is one that I just absolutely love. It's my meditation when I go do it. It's just how I decompress from the day. And then further afield, I'd say either Healy Pass. So that's a good one if it's wildflower season, or even if it's larch season. That's a really nice one because you come into the meadow and it's either a blanket of flowers or it's completely lit up with larch trees. And it's not too strenuous. It is a little bit long, but it's not too intense. So Healy Creek, or I'd say Flow Lake, is another of my favorite. That one's out in Kootenay. And again, especially if it's wildflower season, that one just feels really special when you're at the lake. And usually there's not a lot of people around, so it can feel like you have the place to yourself. But so yeah, Tunnel Mountain for in town, Healy Creek or Flow Lake for a little bit further afield. Oh, who's our special guest?
Oh, that's Loki.
Loki?
Yeah, he wants attention and he wants dinner. You have to wait. He makes an appearance at least once a stream.
Loki? Oh.
We love our furry
Precious.
animals.
Yes.
Furry family.
Are you a big hiker, Samera?
I try, is the best way to put it. I haven't gotten into too much of the hikes. I've done Tunnel a couple of times, which I absolutely love Tunnel just because it's right there. You get to see so much and you don't have to really travel far for that one. But the big one that I really, really, really want to do is a Sunrise Sulphur Mountain hike.
Ooh, that would be a good one.
I've heard that one is absolutely like just stunning. And it's more the fact of not being able to do it, but more the fact of actually getting up to do it.
that would be my limiting factor for sure.
Well, what do you mean get up, Samara? You would just stay up and then just go.
Hey, work smarter, not harder.
Yeah,
That's what I do.
That happened. Famously, for like example, the Canadian Olympic hockey game, which we'll not talk too much about.
You mean the women's game, right? The good one?
Well, both of them we won't talk about. But I actually accidentally stayed up because I was over at my parents' place. I was watching a TV show and doing like one of those diamond art paintings, and next thing I know, it's 2:00 in the morning because I'm just going episode after episode after episode, and I'm just like ADHD brain, just like getting all the dopamine. It was great. But next thing I knew, it was 2:30 in the morning, and what am I going to do? Go to bed at 2:30 in the morning for getting up at like 5:30 in the morning? No.
So what'd you do to stay awake?
I just continued doing the diamond painting, just feeding the dopamine. That's all I needed to do.
What's diamond painting?
I don't know. I do have one nearby. I'd have to move stuff around, but it's the you know those little beads with like the sticky canvas that you place on it? Like it's like color by number, but like with the beads. So it's super relaxing and just like I said, just feeding the dopamine. Just
sounds delightful.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I guess one of the cool things that I wanted to bring you here about, because of the fact that I think is absolutely wonderful, is just I wanted to go into and get your background on how you helped develop the Pride community here in Banff, as you've been involved for such a long time, and even being working directly with Jeffrey Carpenter, who is the Pride organizer, and just building it up from there.
This is a throwback. Yeah. So it all started like cue the mist and the sparkles and the everything. So yeah, exactly. So in 2013, a person named Joe Bembridge started the very first Banff Pride night as we know it. I think there had been other renditions in the past. I think at one point it was called Mountain Pride. And the thing about Banff is it can be a bit transitory, no pun intended, in the fact that about 30% of our population changes over every 5 years. So we always have new people coming in, we have people going out. And so this iteration as we know it today started in 2013. And I actually was playing roller derby quite terribly at that time. And Joe had approached the roller derby team to see if we would come and do some skating in the background on stage during one of the drag queens numbers. Because it had to do with I ride my bicycle past your window that night. I roller skated something by your door. I don't remember all the lyrics. Anyways, he's really good at just being so creative and putting things together. So I was one of those roller skaters, just roller skating in a circle on a very small stage behind a drag queen. And I was just like, this is incredible. Yeah. And what was really neat was just seeing all the different folks from across the community at this night. People that, you know, were older, younger, in the service industry, were teachers, you know, worked for nonprofits. Like it just brought out a whole cross section of our community. And so I remember approaching Joe afterwards and just saying, let me know how I can help you. And so really, I probably started helping in about 2014 and I helped till 2021. So really helped to see that evolution from it being one night at the straightest cowboy bar in town to more of a festival. And Jeffrey gets a ton of credit for developing it into what it is today. I was a part of a couple years where we brought in more programming at the library with children, more free events and activities that were happening outside, runs, hikes, hockey games, not just the one night. And it's just blossomed. It's so incredible to see how our community rallies around this really special festival, and it's drawn in more regional visitors as well. I always say I just love how you'll start to see the fall colors. So you'll see the golden leaves, and that's also when the rainbows come out. And so our downtown has beautiful yellow leaves and rainbows everywhere. It's Banff fall colors. So very proud of the work I was able to do there. And it's been so rewarding to see Jeffrey just take that torch and run with it and elevate it to a whole new level.
That's amazing. That is so cool. And you were part of the group. I don't were you part of the group that helped, or was it after you left and went more into municipal politics? That are for people who are listening, like our Banff Pride is actually 10 days long. Like it's a festival and it is so full. It is amazing. But were you a part of like going from one day to that full 10 days?
So when I started, it was the one night, like I said, and then we would slowly start to grow. So I remember there being a reading with royalty at the library. We were able to also make happen, and we had a bit of a Pride in the Park day. So we slowly turned it into a weekend. And then, after that, you just start to try and expand it more and more. I think the most I ever helped to organize was probably about a week. And I remember by the end of that week, it was like, oof, I'm toast. But yeah, Jeffrey's got the stamina, which is great. But it was really rewarding just to see it go from the one night to even just expanding it by several more days. And I think in general, we've just seen so many organizations and businesses want to take part, want to help host events themselves, which makes it easier for the organizer too when people are ready to step up with their own third-party event. And it really just helps to create that offering for people in different ways. There's folks that don't want a lot of sensory overload, so there's nice yoga classes and quieter activities, and then you can go all the way up to the big shoulder to shoulder 450 people drag show, which is fun in its own way. So it's just nice to see that there's different ways for people to participate, and back when it started there was just the one way, and so it's nice now that it can be more inclusive for sure. And the speaker series has been great. That's been a amazing thing Jeffrey's brought on, is bringing in different folks to come and talk about different issues. And there was a movie last time that I saw that Senator Wells brought in. And there was also the two women that were a part of Canada's Stonewall. That was really neat. So that's been an incredible evolution.
One of the things that I found when I was doing a little bit of looking into your history a little bit, especially because there are a ton of articles on the Rocky Mountain Outlook. And one of the ones I found that was really neat was I got to visit Banff in October. It was beautiful town. I love it up there. I want to come back as soon as I can.
Please do.
But one of the things that I found too was because Samera took me over to the pedestrian bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And she showed me the rainbow crosswalk, which you had proposed back in 2018. So I like how it's not just that Pride Week that continues in Banff. There's little bits of it year round all the time. And I believe in, what was it, September? No, where was it? It was recently. I believe they just renamed or commemorated the footbridge as well with the Blackfoot Confederacy.
Mm-hmm.
Which just shows how even more inclusive it is, because now you're getting to the indigenous cultures and stuff like that too, which I think is impressive and really wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
And even speaking into that, it's always really cool to see that inclusion of the indigenous cultures with Pride. Like, I think there was one of the speaker series this year that actually we had an indigenous speaker at. Was it this year or last year?
I saw Serene Fox this year.
Yeah.
She was there with one of the MLAs from Brooks, I think.
Yeah.
I need to do some Googling. Anyway,
I know it was one of the years. I just can't remember if it was this year or last year.
Exactly.
But yeah, the speaker series has been really cool. We actually had Aurora Boren join us on the podcast a few times ago. I don't remember when, but she actually came and joined us for a bit. So, I mean, yeah, and it's always great to have that full connection.
Absolutely. Love Aurora. She helped one year with Banff Pride too when we developed more of a formal committee. She helped that year, which was really nice. But yeah, the Rainbow Crosswalk, it felt like all these other communities were getting them and Banff didn't have one. And that was kind of this neat crossover where I'd been volunteering with Banff Pride and helping build up that organization. And then with my counselor hat on, was able to put forward a motion for some funding for a Rainbow Crosswalk. And I was so happy we got to join the Crosswalk Club. And now it's even in a more beautiful location, and it's the progressive pride flag, which is really nice, and it's just really prominent. Where we had it before, there was vehicle traffic, so now I just love seeing small kids run all over that thing and people stopping to take photos unencumbered from vehicles and able just to enjoy themselves and enjoy the pride symbol we have there. So it's really special.
I mean, you say there's no vehicle traffic, but it is Banff. We do get tourists and we do get people who don't know where they're driving.
I couldn't figure it out, and I didn't drive up there.
No, we have a wonderful picture posting place. I'm not going to say where so people don't go finding it, that show some of the interesting things some tourists do.
Oh yeah, we could spend the rest of the time talking about those tourist bloopers, that's for sure.
Or say the darndest things.
I still think to this day my favorite thing is the Kia on the snowbank because that made the New York Times.
Did it really? I didn't know that.
That's how big that story blew up, is that, like, I'll see if I can find it during the break, but yeah, it made New York Times.
I just remember it took us by storm. Like, you would see sandwich boards in front of shops that had some kind of play on the green Kia. There was merch. It turned into this whole meme. It really was something that just had a chokehold on us as a society.
And it always turns up again. Anywhere that it's posted as a meme, it always turns up and on these posting pages, and it's just hilarious because it's like, look at where it is now. Like,
as long as it's not in the middle of Banff Avenue.
No, that's for ski touring.
Oh yeah.
I guess one of the questions, like, since we're bringing up the pride flag, that
Sure.
how do you find working with having the pride flag on the ground and in, like, today's climate with how much disrespect and even desire to have it removed, like, do you find it difficult to consistently defend it?
Oh, I will defend it all day long, and if anybody ever tries to desecrate it, we will fix it as soon as possible. So, unfortunately, we did have an incident, and when I was mentioning earlier that it was away from vehicle traffic, my hope was that it was even more safeguarded, because we have seen that trend in other places in Alberta where people will squeal their tires over it to leave marks or put tar on them and other horrible things. And I was really naive to think, okay, this is in a safe spot. And here in Banff, we're just so proud to be a diverse community and a community where you can be authentically yourself. And it was right after our Pride Festival when someone texted me a photo of ours and it had this black goopy stuff on it. And, they said, I think it's tar. And it was a Saturday afternoon. And I remember getting on my bike and going down there because I needed to see it for myself. And I could just feel the tears, more of anger than anything. And I, sent it to the town manager right away. And I'm very proud to say that by Tuesday, we had it looking cleaner than it had been in a long time. So we do not stand for that here in Banff. And it really opened my eyes to the fact that we're not immune. So we do need to be more vigilant, and we do need to be more active in our allyship. We can't be passive, and we can't take it for granted.
That's so important in this current day and age. I don't want to go deep into American politics. We all know that that's its own. Stay over there. But we know that how that tends to drive the conversation and what gets said about the various communities under the LGBT plus umbrella. And it's nonstop. And the allyship is unbelievably critical right now, more than anything, because for our community specifically, trans community, every time we turn around, there's something new. Here in the States, there's all the different bills that are being enacted daily. I think as of February, there's like 560 bills in the U.S. across the country. Everything from the small to the big ones. They're all over. Most get tossed, but regardless, it's a lot. And actually drives me to a question that I have for you as well.
Sure.
You've clearly done a lot of things with integrating. Basically DEI is kind of the umbrella term, right? Just showing that diversity and bringing that in and speaking up for those who don't necessarily have that strong of a voice, or trying to bring just those voices back in general. As of recent, the Alberta legislator used their notwithstanding clause to enforce some less than savory policies. So I guess in a broad stroke, how do provincial laws and decisions like that flow down to like your level of
Mm,
leadership in a
mm,
town, into as a mayor level, or how does that actually like impact um a small town like Banff?
mhm. That's a good question in terms of, our school districts or people being affected. And I would say I don't know what those, let's say, more statistical data points are, but there's certainly an emotional impact. And as mayor, I just tried to be a source of support and to really amplify the message that y- we love you as you are here in Banff, and we want you to be able to be yourself, and we celebrate that here. And yeah, and that's for everyone. So it's difficult too when you know that members of your community are hurting. That's a really hard thing to feel. I remember one Pride, it was on the eve of some of the trans legislation that was going through here in Alberta. And I said on the mic, it feels really hard to be in a celebratory tone right now, knowing that there's about to be these really heavy and hurtful, harmful conversations. And I think the message then was, we just need to come together and say loudly and proudly that trans rights are human rights and support one another. And you can find that in community. And so that's really, I think, what the reaction has been here in Banff is whether it's Banff Pride or Camel Pride or Skipping Stone coming into the Bow Valley, it's about trying to find joy in community. I believe joy is revolutionary. And so I think we're, yeah, just trying to cultivate it here in Banff.
It's easier to be nice. Doesn't take much effort.
So true.
I think that was actually this last Pride that you did that speech, because that was the speech that actually got me out and more connecting with you, especially after our lunch that we had, and then
Oh.
and then it was those, all these different things that you and I and one of the other counselors sat down and had a longer chat than what we had thought it would be. um,
I'm a yapper.
oh, absolutely. It was just like, but it was that whole thing that, like, I was thinking it's going to be half an hour. It's going to be an hour. 2 hours later, it's like, okay. Um, and yeah, like I mean, as a resident of this lovely town, like I can definitely say, like, it's just so unbelievably amazing just how much support you provide and how much there is from this town, and it's just amazing. So it's definitely felt this way as well.
Well, that makes me feel really good. And that doesn't mean we're perfect as a community, but I think we just strive to always do better. And so it makes me feel very happy that you do sense the good intentions in this community. Your community.
My community.
It's like a marketing tagline we just came up with.
Might as well. Let's use it. Not that we need any help getting more people here.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Not in summertime, that's for sure.
Gosh, no.
For the winters. I mean, we need summer for that. It's the mountains.
The
Just
mountains.
draw you in.
Yeah. So I guess one of the little bit bridging further into the question
Mhm,
I was asking, because of there are because I don't think the question was fully just answered here, because it was
mhm,
my curiosity was more of like there's towns like what, like in northern Alberta, for example, that are
mhm.
slowly trying to get rid of the pride sidewalks because of residents. Like,
Oh,
yeah, are you finding any, like, pushback with having out pride flags or pride paraphernalia and stuff like that? And for my part, like, I'm thankful that you're there to defend it, but do you ever
mhm.
find like there's still that pushback And how do you find dealing with it on a political spectrum? Because for a lot of people, we don't exactly get to ever see or hear that side.
Mhm. Oh, I see. So, definitely there was a bit of anxiety when that whole situation happened as well, with the petition in that community that then took it to a vote of the electorate on whether or not they were allowed to have their pride crosswalk or pride flags. Yeah, there's a nervousness when you start to see a movement like that spring up. I have received letters in the past. So we did an infrastructure project where the pride symbol is now. And when we did that project, we had to take out the old pride symbol and then we put down the new one, which was the progressive pride flag. And I did receive correspondence around, can we just leave it the way it is? You know, and just that silly sort of rationale of, well, there's not sidewalks for straight people or
Oh,
whatever.
that is so exhausting.
So definitely got some of those emails, and I responded with some of the language I've already used here, but we haven't gotten anything in any kind of formal process the way that that one community and other communities have gone through. And if we were to, unfortunately, we'd have to work our way through it. That is something that citizens are able to do under the Municipal Government Act, is put together a petition. It needs to be valid, so certain number of signatures, and everyone that signs it needs to be eligible to vote, that kind of thing. But thankfully, we haven't seen anywhere near a degree of seriousness for something like that coming underway. But certainly I have received those kind of emails in the past. And I've also seen some of the online hate that the town of Banff's posts will get if there's pride related posts, either that the festival's here or that the new symbol was laid down by the pedestrian bridge. Banff Pride had a
Oh my
huge
gosh.
surge in
Yeah.
online hate this year, and I talked to Jeffrey about it, and it really kind of came out of nowhere this year compared to other years, and really alarming. So, yeah, again, Banff's not immune. This exists, but we carry on proudly, and we will continue to do that.
One of the comments I saw about that, because actually another article I read was about that very topic of getting those hate comments. And what was that? Was a individual, John Watson, I think his name was, had said that within like 48 hours, like 165 comments, which was a huge amount that you're not accustomed to seeing in that. And they were all less than savory posts. But the one thing I actually did appreciate that he said, there was a discussion about taking them down. They said, no, we're going to leave them up to really show that this is what people have to face. This is what we have to deal with. And it's not worth hiding it, because it doesn't do anyone. You're never going to grow from it if you hide from it and you don't confront it. And I thought that was a really strong statement to make.
It is, for sure. You don't want to sanitize it just because it's unpleasant. It was important to see, again, that Banff isn't immune. When I talked to Jeffrey about that in particular, he was of the sense that a lot of those comments were coming from out of the community. Often when you do go into these posts, you will see Banffites coming into the comments, like doing battle and trying to defend who we are as a community. So that gives me a little bit of like solace that I know it's not coming from within. Obviously, it's still very harmful to see it in general. But yeah, that was sort of the bad omen for the rest of the next couple events. So there was that surge in hate comments on Banff Pride's posts, and then we had the tar on the Pride crosswalk, and then something also happened at the United Church. Their pride flags were smashed out of one of their entrance signs and taken. It felt like things kind of happened in 3 that were bad. So
Yeah, unfortunately, the Bow Valley isn't without its hate. And I mean, I remember almost, what was it, 3 years ago, there was a business that said less than savory things about
oh
Canmore
yeah,
Pride.
that was the email read around the world.
Yup.
Was That was dark. I remember talking to Aurora on the phone that day, and she really drove it home for me of how distressing that incident was and really helped guide me on how do I show up as an ally? How do I advocate here? How do I use my voice? And she really helped me through that, which thank you for doing that emotional labor, Aurora. And so I did some social media around, again, that this is not what we stand for here. And I did a big post to go donate to Canmore Pride if you could. But that was dark. I feel like the community was really reeling after that one.
I think that was actually when Aurora really took off with her business for
Yeah.
DEI training through businesses. Because that was, yeah, that was about that time. Yeah, just the distressing things that are said, and like you said, like it's always it was amazing to see the outpouring of love from the Bow Valley community whenever any of those hateful comments were made, because like we talk about, Banff is a very vocal place. Let's let's start there. But it was one of those things that very quickly, like, that vocal people, like, they just all became allies at that moment. And it was just, it's what makes living here in the Bow Valley such an amazing and safe place. Truly blessed.
Well, it's unfortunate that these events occur, but like you said, it gives that hope when you see the community respond and doesn't just try and sweep it under the rug or doesn't want to address it because it's uncomfortable, but just takes it head on.
Mm-hmm. I know you I don't know if you ever get the chance to, but do you ever get to meet with like different mayors of different towns and get to kind of meet, discuss, and kind of share a little bit? Oop, okay, I'm still here. Get to meet and discuss a little bit about, like, about, for example, the pride and what's happening here, and that sort of thing. Like, do you ever get that
Mhm.
chance, or is it usually in official capacities?
Well, I'm really lucky that I get to go to new places for a couple of the different conferences that we're able to go to. So one is more of a provincial conference. So that one is the Alberta Municipalities Conference, and that group is our lobbying group to the provincial government for municipalities. And then there's a federal one, the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, and that conference is usually in June. So what's really cool is that depending on where we go, I always look for pride activities because, as you know, in Banff, we don't have pride till October. So there was one time we were in Regina and I basically drug, like, I don't know, 15 to 20 municipal either staffers or elected officials to this dive bar in downtown Regina for a drag show, and it was so much fun. It was awesome. So I definitely look for that when I'm in other communities. And one time I was able to go to, it is called the Mountain Town and Resort Planners Conference, and it was in Colorado.
Oh,
And I
wow.
remember being in the communities, and one of my first questions was always, "Do you guys have a pride here? And what does it look like?" So it's always something. Obviously, sorry, I'm trying to fix my lighting. I have a personal, interest in, but then also just understanding how a community works. And I just think having a pride is just so central to a community's heartbeat that I'm always really interested to either go to an activity or try to figure out if there is one and if I'm able to go support it somehow when I'm there.
That's actually really cool. When you went to Colorado, did you get to meet with like different American mayor staff and people there, and kind of how was the vibe with them?
Yeah, so this was, oh, my memory. It was either 2022 or 2023, and the conference was in Snowmass, Colorado. And so we first met with a planner in Vail, so we got a good look at Vail. And then the conference was in Snowmass, so talking to either elected officials or staffers from all different places, mostly mountain towns in the States. So Lake Tahoe or near Yellowstone, obviously from around Colorado as well. And then we went into Aspen and had a bit of a tour there. And some people say that Banff is most like Aspen in terms of its layout. After that, have really emphasized how we need to ensure that we're doing everything we can for housing so that the people who work here can afford to live here, because that is our soul of our community. And when you have workers having to commute an hour one way to go to work and they can't afford to live where they work, I fear you start to lose your soul. So it was eye-opening in that regard, that's for sure. But yeah, anytime I'm always asking about transit and housing and pride. I think are some of the top 3 when I'm meeting people from other municipalities.
That actually brings me to Texas, and I was curious about, unless I read this wrong, you're originally from Texas.
So I'll give you the 30 seconds. Grandparents immigrated from Italy straight to Banff in the 50s. So my dad's born and raised here, and then my mom is born and raised in Texas, and she came up to Banff and met my dad here. And so we lived here for the first few years of my life, and then they eventually separated, and so went back down to Texas with my mom and went to school there, university there, but I would never miss a summer here in Banff with my dad. And then I moved here permanently in 2010. So sometimes I say y'all, unironically, but I could not survive Texas heat anymore. I couldn't do it. I go down to visit my mom and family there, and I'm instantly sweating. And I just have no idea how I ever survived it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I can relate. We've done a couple of Disney trips as a family, like when I was younger. And yeah, the heat in like the southern states is gross.
It's no joke.
Yeah. I went to school down in Georgia.
Oh, you did?
I don't need it anymore. Don't need that weather. Nope. It's too warm.
I feel like Georgia's really hot. Like Texas might be hot, but I've heard Georgia's super hot.
Well, the trick to it is the humidity. With Georgia specifically, because I was in Savannah in the historic district, and Georgia gets super muggy because the jet stream comes down over the Gulf, comes back up and over Florida, and runs over Georgia. And so it brings all that moist Gulf air in, and that's where that state gets all that ridiculously just muggy, gross, sticky weather.
Oof.
It's not a fun experience.
I've read a book about Savannah, The Garden of Good and Evil. I can't remember the author, though. It was a big, long, juicy tale. I'll have to reread it.
And it's got a lot of great history. It really does. It's if you're a chance to go down there and visit, it is worth visiting.
It's been on my list since I read that book. It sounds almost like a New Orleans. I love New Orleans. I've been to New Orleans a few times. Like with the Gothic kind of architecture and the heat, like you mentioned, but also just that kind of Southern spookiness. I don't know.
There's one of the graveyards down there. You can, it's a fun little historical tidbit. Way back, early 1900s, late 1800s, they had an epidemic of yellow fever go through the town. So when you go to this really old graveyard, certain headstones have a skull and crossbones on them, and those were for victims of the yellow fever.
Oh my!
It's very, very grim, but at the same time, it's like, oh, okay, that's a fascinating piece of history.
Oh, the southern states, they love their cemeteries.
Oh my gosh! See, I was thinking about going there for more of like the Mardi Gras sort of thing, and just or like New Orleans Pride, because like they're like such a amazing, welcoming community for anybody and everybody, as long as you're not a bigot, basically.
Well, I love New Orleans. I haven't been there for Pride, but I've been to San Francisco Pride, Chicago Pride, and then I've been to New York City Pride.
Wow.
And New York City was I mean, the confetti was like coming down into the subway. The lineup to get in the Stonewall was like 2 hours. And then when we
Oh.
came out, hours later, the parade was still going. We thought we entered some kind of weird pride time machine. We was like, how is this parade still going?
We're just going to loops around the building.
I wouldn't doubt it knowing New York. I mean, New York is that they're unapologetic about, you know, their stances on everything. And it's like, and now they have a mayor that's, you know, absolutely just.
I'm a Zoran fan.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed. He does the right thing. That's all I can do at this point.
Is that like the next, you know, North American mayoral thing that happens? You're going to go looking for him and
Oh man, I would love to meet Zoran. He seems so authentic and inspirational, and he is making good stuff happen too. It's incredible to witness. It gives you hope for their future. It's really cool.
absolutely.
I'm just gonna turn on another light. Hold
Yeah,
on,
go
just one
for
second.
it.
I'm like, I feel like this is turning into like Tales from the Crypt. Okay, hang on 1 second. I'll be right back.
Finally
Of course. Do what you need.
But
Oh
you
my
talk
gosh.
U.S. news. We had in Texas, Tellerico beat Jasmine Crockett in the primary, but she took that graciously. So hopefully that works out well for the rest of us.
Fingers crossed.
That's all I can do these days.
I saw a snippet. So what happened?
They had a Democratic primary in Texas. James Tellerico and Jasmine Crockett, and Jasmine lost.
Okay.
But he's a pretty good guy. The interesting thing about James Tellerico is that he is Christian. But here's the thing about him. It's kind of interesting. I'll see if I can rephrase this correctly, because I was listening to Riverboat Jack on YouTube, and he's kind of a danger for the current Christian nationalist movement in the States, because he doesn't go with any of that. He talks against it, and he uses the more actual nicer points of Christianity about actually being loving thy neighbor and caring for the poor, like the actual positive things I know I was taught when I grew up in religion. And they don't like that at all. So
interesting. So he's sort of.
Oh.
Oh no, I was just gonna say. I think so he's kind of disrupting.
Yes, he puts the lie to the narrative, basically.
See, I was going to go the less polite route and say he's an actual quote unquote Christian.
No, it's fair too. I'm just hoping he doesn't sell out. That's always the big concern these days in politics. So
I'll have to look him up after this. I've admittedly been focused on Canadian politics as of late, and for self-preservation reasons, haven't been as up to date on US, but that
Don't
sounds
blame
like
you.
someone I should
at all.
look up.
I'm in the same boat as you, Corey. It's gotten to the point where I can't follow American politics anymore. I have a brother who is extremely invested in everything that goes on with, you know, American politics, and I've just gotten to the point where, okay, I can't follow it anymore. There's so much more stuff going on here in Canada, in Alberta, and realistically, there's nothing I can do in the States. It's happening. There's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
It's a powerless feeling for sure.
And I think that's for a lot of us. We're just stuck going along for the ride because we don't have any. I mean, yes, we can vote. Hopefully, this kind of election. But you know, that's the reality. Is until you actually get the chance to use that voice outside of rampant militantism, being very militant in the streets, it is very limiting with what one can do. Really, anywheres.
And on that note, we can go on a break and get away and hopefully look for more positive things. Because it's been about an hour. I don't want to, go full on 2 hours on you here, Corey. We'll give you a little bit of a break. Refill your water, refill your tea. I love the little mug that you had.
Little owl.
The little owl. I thought it was a frog, actually, but owls are cute too. But no, going 2 hours straight is always a little bit hard, and I don't want to force that on you. So we'll take a quick 5-10 minute break here. Go grab your water, go grab your tea, do a bathroom break if you need to. And we'll be back in a second. But first, we'll play the outro so that our wonderful producer knows where to cut the first episode.
still need